Ready.
So I'm here with Jeremiah Owyang, is this correct pronunciation?
Yes.
At the LeWeb, and we want to talk about his new presentation about crowd companies. And so maybe first question, Jeremiah, tell me what are the key characteristics of the share economy, as you call it?
May I just one minute hold it up?
Yeah.
It'll actually record better. There's a few tenets of the economy. One is that it turns excess waste into value, so when things are wasted, which results in people just accessing things that they want instead of owning them. That's quoting Lisa Gansky, by the way, who wrote the book The Mesh, who I encourage you to read, which results in people getting what they need from each other. So you can see the lineage there, the logical, pure logic. Mobile phones and Internet of Things enable us to find things that we want. Typically, they're owned by other peers. Now we can get them. We don't have to own them. We can just use them whenever we want. So it means we get what we need from our peers. And that creates a significant power shift. It means people get what they need from each other rather than from inefficient institutions.
That's so. When we talk about share economy, there's some maybe it's at an intersection of different trends, as you mentioned. You talk about the makers movement, you talk about co-creation and crowdfunding. So when this all comes together, new services are created.
Yeah.
So how does it work actually?
So the collaborative economy honeycomb does a great job of actually illustrating all of the areas that are impacted. And collectively, so there's the maker movement, there's crowdfunding, there's the sharing economy. Collectively, we can call this the collaborative economy. That's the umbrella term that looks over all of those pieces. Because makers and crowdfunding is part of this. People are empowered to get what they need from each other, right? So people empowered. And so that is the greater term of this movement. And are you asking me about the causes? Or?
No, just maybe we go to the examples. So maybe we can stick to what I would call flea markets, like Jodel, or you have mentioned in your presentation services like Feastly or the Landing Club. So
So
there's the dynamic actually. There's so many startups
and those are called
trying
marketplaces.
To go there.
Right, and so they're called marketplaces, online marketplaces of buyers and sellers. There's actually, you can think about it another way. There are actually online platforms, and there's providers and partakers.
Yeah.
3 Ps. Platforms, providers, partakers. So that's another way to look at this space. And it's powered by tech. You know, these things are in your pocket. There's a marketplace for every single vertical. Look at the honeycomb. There's 12 hexes now. There's for everything. Even hospitals and cities are doing it as well. So it's in all aspects of society.
So maybe you just said today in your speech that adoption is doubling. So where are the booming areas in this collaborative economy?
The transportation and custom goods, we saw in our data there was a high adoption rate there. The transportation space has been funded the most by the VC, so there's most traction there. So those are idle assets that are very expensive that people don't need to own. So that's why there's so much funding into Lyft, BlaBlaCar, and Uber, and those players, and Sidecar.
What I found interesting here in one of the studies you mentioned in your presentation is that especially goods, pre-owned goods are very, very high. So it's this aspect that I don't need something anymore, or that so I can give it to somebody else.
Okay, so the reason for that spike in data is because that market is 15 years old.
Okay.
That's eBay.
Okay,
that's why.
Okay.
But this is an important point.
Yeah.
That's what a mature market at 15 years looks like. The rest of these, what you're going to show in the graph, are these startups are 3 to 5 years old. And they're already at 12 to 15% adoption rate for U.S., Canadian, and U.K. adults. This is not Germans. So, but that tells you what adoption will look like.
Okay.
Okay.
So anyway, what's the economic impact on traditional business beyond Uber and Airbnb, where a lot of talk is about right now? So where's really where will be the economic impact? Yeah.
Well, it's really hard to tell. We don't quite know what the full economic impact, and I'm not going to make any market cap valuations, but essentially this space is going to impact every industry. And you can look at the honeycomb, healthcare, logistics, it's in every space. And brands need to change their business model and empower people to do these things and offer value-added services and take a revenue cut. So we've already seen SAP, German company, create a car-sharing app called To Go. We've already seen BMW launch a car-sharing service called Drive Now in San Francisco, and they just launched it in London. We've already seen Daimler Chrysler follow suit. So we're already seeing German companies change their business model in order to enable this type of market. And this is important.
Yeah. So maybe we come to this big point for us in the discussion. What role do corporations play if people get what they need from other? Actually,
is that a good question?
I don't know. It's your question.
That was a good question, but it's an important question, right? And it means that companies must empower them, and we just kind of talked about that. So there's three business models, really, when you narrow it down. So if a company makes physical goods, they now need to make it available for rent. BMW does that. Drive Now. Or on demand. If you make consumable goods, like they're consumed, that can be an on-demand or subscription-based model. It's like on-demand food, clothes, or drinks. The second business model is the marketplace model. Since we see these marketplaces in every single industry, and look at the honeycomb, it's everywhere. Corporations must launch their own or partner with those startups to sponsor them and enable that and offer value-added services, cleaning, certification, and take a revenue cut from every play. The third model is from crowdfunding and the maker movement. It's already happening. People are building their own goods. Corporations must provide them a platform and encourage them to build next to their brand, like GE and Quirky, and they get a revenue cut to the crowd who's contributed to that program. So those are the three models.
Actually, what I found quite interesting, since now many companies look at their social media investments, especially in Facebook, and see a declining return on marketing, and maybe they get asked nasty questions, so they are re-evaluating their investments and try to find a way to be a platform. So what can companies learn from companies like Barclaycard, for example?
The Ring, exactly, they can learn that. And this comes down to this is broader than these two topics, social and collaborative economy. But should brands build or join? Right? That's the bigger. And brands can't keep up and build constantly. They always have to watch the startups from Silicon Valley and beyond, and they end up partnering and then emulating. That's just like has been the natural order of things. I'm not saying that's the right order, but that's typically what has been happening. In fact, here at LeWeb, a lot of these big corporations are looking at these startups and saying, what can we learn from them? How can we copy them? So that's kind of what we see right now.
But interesting enough, the digital transformation topic is not at main stage, but it's here at LeWeb at least.
Go tell Loic. I didn't make that call. This conference is focused on technology and business and startups and the VCs. That's who's on stage. Corporations are rarely on the main stage here. That. My observation. I'm not judging. I'm just telling.
Well, maybe to at the very end, you have started your own company, Crowd Companies. So, what's the center of your engagement right now?
Crowd Companies, just to define, is a private membership for executives at large corporations, Fortune 500. For example, Swisscom, Nestle, SAP are members of our council.
Okay.
Yeah, we connect our members to this ecosystem. Okay. Peer-to-peer interactions, Secondly, we bring in experts from the industry to present. And 3, we find the right startups that want to partner with corporation. So what we do is we connect the members. And we're expanding into Europe. I'm planning to have an event here in Europe in June. So we want to reach and have more German companies. And the event will probably be in Switzerland.
Okay. Zurich, yeah.
I can't say which city yet.
Okay, good. So
I just mentioned 2 Swiss companies, so hopefully you can figure out who's going to host.
Just look at the companies you already. Okay, maybe Swisscom, I guess. Okay. 50-50 chance. Can you tell us anything about the results you have realized for your membership companies?
Sure, yeah. There's been 3 deployments at least of partnerships between the corporations and some of the startups that we brought around. Some of them I can't really talk about yet, but one I can talk about is Verizon saw a community of makers who were 3D printing out hands for kids who are missing fingers, and so they supported them. So that's Verizon, one of our founding members. And then a number of our brands are building their own platforms to be part of this market, but I cannot take credit for any of that work. This is an association. By the way, we're not consultants either. We run events and content. So
not even
no consulting.
Of workshop.
Barely. Speeches. Yeah, we don't want to do any consulting. So it is we are focused on the council model. And when brand members join, especially amazing German companies join, they know that we won't be upselling and listening to conversations.
Okay, great.
So we are council, brand to brand.
Okay.
So there's been 100 deployments of brands across in this space, and I track them. So I'll send you that link where you can look for it later. It's called the Timeline of Brands and the Collaborative Economy. So you can track all the deployments, and many of them you'll see are in the council. And so the leaders in this market are in the council. But I don't want to take credit for their hard work. So I just been clear on that. Cool.
Cool. Last question, interesting enough, is if I would segment your members by industry, are there some areas where you say there are many of them? And
there are. We have a lot of retail companies, durable goods, and quite a few. I was surprised that so many banks and financial services joined.
There are problems, maybe.
Well, when you think about the peer-to-peer lending, like Lending Club and Prosper, and then crowdfunding, and then the crowd-created currencies like Bitcoin, you can see why banks are like, oh, wow, peer-to-peer banking could disrupt us, and that's happening. So I was pleasantly surprised to see a lot of banks joined.
What are the biggest challenges for your members when they talk to each other?
Sure. Well, they definitely see this movement's happening. There's no question. We haven't had any internal debates whether this movement is happening or not. Sure, parts of it could be overhyped. Yes. Overvalued startups. Yes, sure. But they can see it. It's coming. It's here. The biggest challenge is trying to turn the big corporate ship that's focused on quarterly results each month to do a big innovation push in another direction. I mean, we have to give credit to BMW and the BMW group to make cars rentable. I mean, that is a huge business model shift. Imagine who actually pitched that deal in Germany. Say, yeah, we don't want to sell cars, we want to rent them out. That's a big change.
Well, maybe they will sell even to one of the members cars, because it's also a way of trying out cars before driving them. But this is more theoretical.
I mean, if somebody's using the service, Drive Now, once a week, and the average cost is $70 a week. That is, 4 times 7. That's $280 a month, which is half the cost of a lease, and the car is only being used 1/5 of the time. If they could have the car in motion 5 days, that's over the cost of a lease. So technically, they could potentially generate more revenue per car if it's properly utilized. You see the math on that?
Yeah. Of course. But maybe it's better to disrupt its business oneself than be disrupted by somebody
I
else.
think you are a man of brilliance and insight, and I think that is kind of the last finding is all companies need to figure out how to change their business before somebody forces them into doing it.
Thank you very much.
It's my pleasure. Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right.